welcome to the Activated Storytellers 85th podcast, August 28th, 2008.
This week's story is The Legend of the Rollright Stones from England. This podcast is a proud member of the Blueberry Network. That's blueberry.com.
Hi, I'm Dennis.
And I'm Kimberly.
And where's Zephyr? Oh, he's not here.
Zephyr's at camp, but together we are
The Activated Storytellers.
minus Zephyr.
Minus Zephyr.
This week we are coming to you from Attleboro, Massachusetts. And we've got a question for you. What do full-time RVers do to get away from it all? We'll be answering that in just a minute. But first of all, I want to remind everybody that we do have great deals from Skype and Blockbuster on our website. You'll find the links to that at activated.libsyn.com. Just to remind you that with Skype, you can make phone calls over the internet for just pennies. And Blockbuster has a deal where you can rent movies online, and the first month is only $9.99 for our listeners. So make sure you visit our website, activated.libsyn.com, for the links.
Oh, okay. So do we qualify as listeners? Could we go do that?
Yes, we can.
Oh, boy. Okay, so I'll bite. What do RVers do to get away from it all?
First of all, we've been RVing for 16 years now. You know, our anniversary is coming up here.
Wow, that's right. Very soon it'll be 16 years on the road.
Right, 16 years living on wheels. So what do? We go out and pedal our own wheels.
Yeah, we try 2 wheels instead of just 4 for a while. We've been bicycling for 10 days. We took a 10-day bike ride. Now, we both really love to ride bikes, but this is the longest trip we have ever taken. In fact, we only did one overnight camping trip before on bikes. We went to Martha's Vineyard last year. And
we went out to Provincetown once, too.
Oh, right. And out to Provincetown, too. So 2 one-night trips. But this was a 10-day, 10-night extravaganza over 300 miles, 322, I believe we did.
Actually, a little bit more, but I logged 322 miles. And I'm noticing a pattern here. We do like to bike around the Cape Cod area. It's very scenic and kind of flat. Well, it's rolly hills, but nothing too steep to work your way over.
And we also went to Plymouth this time. But what I really enjoyed the most was some new territory that we covered. We went to Newport, Rhode Island for the first time. And that is a fabulous little town. I just loved it.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of reading about bicycle camping. Didn't quite know if we could do it or not. We know we like to ride, but we loaded up our panniers, loaded our sleeping bags on, strapped on the tent, and took off. And we didn't quite know where we were staying until we got there.
And that was part of the adventure, finding a place to stay. And there were plenty of campgrounds around, but being busy summer season, some of them were full. So we had to do quite a bit of finagling sometimes. And we really we had an itinerary planned, but we did kind of play it by ear as well. A couple of nights we decided, we're just going to stay in this campground here for another night and rest up a bit.
Yeah, one day we were biking along, discovered a bike path, and found a campground and decided, hey, this is good. We'll just stay here. And didn't quite make as many miles as we intended to, but it was okay. We had a place to stay instead of being out without a place on a Saturday night.
And there were many other parts of the adventure, like bicycles have breakdowns as well as RVs, so we had quite a bit of mechanical problems, flat tires, broken spokes, that kind of thing. Oh, one of the most fun things is biking along a country road and coming upon a produce stand. And there you can shop for dinner right there without going to the supermarket. Shop from the people who raise it, and it is really good stuff. We got some peaches that were just wonderful, some really good tomatoes.
Yeah, you can't carry too much food when you are on bicycle. You pretty much carry 1 day's worth of food. You really have to be careful what you take along.
And we did have a little camp stove, a very small, very portable camp stove, so we could cook some things. Didn't just eat raw food. So we did go to Plymouth. We had a picnic lunch right there by Plymouth Rock. We went to Cape Cod again and Newport, Rhode Island.
Yes, Newport, Rhode Island was new territory for us. Fascinating town, very historic town. All of the buildings had some kind of marker on them, noting them as a site of historical interest.
I've always wanted to go to Newport to go to the folk festival, which they have late every summer. We just missed it this year. It was at the beginning of August. We did go to Fort Adams Park, which is one of the venues they used for the folk festival this year. One thing we saw is the oldest library in the U.S.
Yes, the oldest lending library. Didn't quite look the way I expected it would.
It's called the Redwood Library. It was built in 1750, and it's still in operation. Also, they have the oldest synagogue And they have a structure called the Old Stone Mill that we just had to check out because this is a mystery. Nobody knows exactly who built this thing or when.
It might have been left by the Vikings.
There are legends that the Vikings, that Leif Erikson came to this part of the country and that they may have actually built this thing. There is another legend that it was built by a former governor of Rhode Island, a man by the name of Benedict Arnold. And he was not the Benedict, he was actually the grandfather of the famous Benedict Arnold. He was a trader. And so he ruled over Rhode Island. He would have built this thing about 300 years ago as opposed to 1,000 years ago if it had been built by Vikings.
And they just don't know. It's a mystery.
Do not know. There are other theories, too, about who may have built it, but nobody knows for sure, and nobody even knows what it is, what it's supposed to be.
So we drew upon that inspiration to choose our story this week. But first I want to remind everyone that you can call in your comments and requests. If you have a story that you'd like to hear, a folktale that you'd like to hear, give us a call at 206-426-0436 or Skype us. Our Skype address is Gozas on the Go, Gozas on the Go. The Legend of the Rollright Stones. Not far from the borders of Gloucestershire and Oxfordshire is a pretty little village of Rollright, and near the village, up a hill, stands a circle of small stone, and one larger stone. I guard these stones, and no one may meddle with them, for if they do, I declare that they shall meet misfortune, said the fairies who watched over the stones. Now many people thought that they were just stones and mighty peculiar. But the elders of the village, they knew the true story, and if you listened, they would tell you.
You want to hear that story again? Well, okay. It was like this. See, there was this group of knights, and they wanted to conquer the king, you see, and they were marching up there to conquer the king. But when they came here to Rollright, they were suddenly turned into stones, and they were still standing right there where they were. Now, don't ask me how it happened. I don't know, but that's the truth.
Yes, I was there. I saw it right before my very eyes.
Yeah, I saw it too.
But there was one farmer in the village who paid no heed to the elders and didn't believe that the fairies had really cursed the stones that stood up on the hill. But one stone in particular caught the farmer's eye. Perhaps it was the way that the sun shone on it, or the color, but he wanted it, and he wanted it to be on his farm, and so he decided to move it.
Doggies, I gotta have that there rock. Here you go. Hitch up my old trusty team. Go, team, go. Fight, fight. Let's go. Oh my. This is a heavy rock here.
And so he loaded it onto his wagon and proceeded down the hill.
Oh, heave-ho. Oh my, that thing's heavy.
And the wagon took off rolling down the hill without the horses.
Oh, hang on, get back here.
And it crashed.
Oh no. Oh, that really fixes my wagon.
And so he had to tie ropes around it.
All right, go.
And then it was like a scene out of Indiana Jones. The horses were running and running and running, trying to get away from the stone.
Ah!
And the horses whinnied and whined and broke free from the rope and ran off, and the farmer never saw his horses again.
Oh boy, this is quite a disaster. I hope we don't have a sequel to this.
Nothing daunted the farmer. He raised the stone on his farm, and he was very proud of it.
Yeah. Look at that rock. I mean, I am so proud of this rock. It has such rockness about it.
And then lightning struck. And a storm came. But it only happened on his farm.
Wow, that was weird.
The storm flooded his crops, but nothing happened to the neighbors.
Well, hey, diddly there, neighbor. I see that you had a bit of mishap again.
And one atrocious thing after another happened. One time there was the locust that descended upon the fields. And then the tax collector came.
Yo there, Mr. Farmer. We've been going over your accounts, and we discovered that you paid way too much tax last year.
Really? I did?
That's right. And so we're going to have to tax you on your tax. Here's the bill.
Well, so many misfortunes came upon the farmer that one night he had a dream.
I'm being crushed by a rock.
being crushed by rock. I can't breathe. Does this symbolize my distaste for a certain kind of music? I don't know. Oh my, what a terrible dream. That rock was crushing me. I felt like Giles Corey or something. Rock. That's it, the rock. That rock has brought me nothing but trouble. I gotta roll it back up that hill somehow.
Well, he figured that it was going to be a big job to roll that big rock up the hill.
Let's see, it'll take 200 levers and 2,000 Egyptians. And let's see.
But to his surprise, he was able to lift the rock very easily. In fact, it practically led him up the hill.
Wow. Hey, I've got a circus act here. Where's Mr. Ripley when you need him? Look at this.
It was as if the rock knew its place and wanted to be back amongst his comrades.
Yay, rock on. Look at this. It's right back where it started from, and it required minimal effort from me.
And from that day on, the farmer's luck changed. His crops grew, and his horses came back.
I was afraid my troubles would last until the cows came home, and they have.
Those are horses.
That too. Oh, Mr. Farmer, we made a mistake. You don't owe any more taxes. In fact, we decided to give you a percentage of all the money that we get for next year, and free health care on top of that. So have a good day.
And that's the story of the legend of the Rollright Stones.
We picked that, as we mentioned, because it is a story related to a lot of Scandinavian stories having to do with people and animals being turned into stones for various reasons, and mysterious stone formations, which often inspire those stories, just as we found the mysterious stone formation in Newport.
I was surprised to see it in Newport. I mean, I've heard of the stone structures in European countries, but I didn't realize that there was one here in America.
I'd heard something about it. I didn't remember exactly where it was until we went there, and there it was.
So we'll have a picture of that on our website. Activated.libsyn.com is our podcasting site. And we've got all the details of our bike tour on our travel blog, and you'll find that at activated-storytellers.com or just activatedstorytellers.com. And what do we got coming up here? We are touring the Northeast through October. We're performing at schools, and it's not too late to add your school if you're interested in a booking. We do have some dates available, September and October. We do take last-minute bookings, and we are touring the northeastern states right now. That would be Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, this whole area, New Hampshire, Maine. And we're booking shows all across the country. We've got shows booked in Florida this January, New Mexico, Colorado, Wyoming. We'll be coming that way in March. And we've got libraries and schools booking on the West Coast in April and May. And what I mean by booking is we perform live on stage at schools and libraries. We act out folktales, not just telling the stories, but we include American Sign Language, props, costumes, sets.
But usually no really large stones.
No, they don't travel too well.
We are also offering solo shows now. You just did your first solo show not long ago.
Yes, I did. Actually opened my own show, and that's got 3 stories in it. It's an audience participation show. And in the first story, I teach American Sign Language. In fact, I get to turn my voice off and tell the story in American Sign Language, which is fun. And it's a great way for everybody to learn sign language.
Okay. And we'd like to recommend that everybody who can take a bike trip. It's a great way to get out and see the country and save gas and get exercise all at the same time. You wouldn't believe what your thighs are capable of.
Yeah, when we first started biking, we were kind of impressed if we'd go 10 miles a day, and even more super impressed when we did 50. So it's really not hard unless you live like maybe in the Rocky Mountains. But, all those hills that go up, they do go down too. So give it a try. And speaking of bicycle touring, a lot of people think that you have to be just single or a couple and you can't do it with kids. Wrong. I'm following a couple online on their blog, a family rather. It is familiesonbike.org, and they are now bicycling. They've already bicycled around the U.S. with their kids, 2 boys, and they are now bicycling from Alaska to Argentina. And by the time they finish their trip, their kids, the 2 boys, will be the youngest ever to have done the whole journey.
Wow. How many miles is that?
I haven't added it up. I think they've got that on their website. But I know that they will be in the Guinness World Book of Records when they complete the trip. So they're now in Canada. Have already made it through Alaska. We'll put a link up to their site on ours, and you can follow them as well.
That sounds like fun.
Comments and suggestions, 844-260-436. And you can follow us on Twitter. That's twitter.com. And our page is twitter.com/activated.
See you later.
No, we won't. Well, you'll hear us next time. We won't see you.
We'll hear you next time. You'll hear us next time. Somebody will hear somebody next time. Anyway, we'll be here to be heard or hear.
Thanks for listening.
The Activated Storytellers perform at schools and libraries nationwide. On stage, we use American Sign Language, physical comedy, imaginative props, and a giant, oversized book to bring the stories to life. For booking information, check our website at www.activated-storytellers.com, where you can also find out when the Activated Storytellers will be performing near you, read a story, or order one of our audio CDs. Until next time.